Hi, this is Loving Sons. Good to see you again after so many days of missing in action due to many reasons. Of course, many things have happened for the past few days. Of course, the first thing was the appointment of Dato' Amar Abang Johari Tun Oping as the new Chief Minister of Sarawak, replacing Tan Sri Adenan Satem, who passed away, if I'm not mistaken, on the 12th of January, which is not too long ago. The appointment of Abang Johari was actually a surprising one, because many are expecting that the appointment of the new Chief Minister will take place a week after the mourning of Tan Sri Adenan Satem. But things sometimes happens a bit fast. Abang Johari was appointed, I think, less than in about 2 days after the passing away of the Tan Sri Adenan Satem. I have earlier said that the appointment of the new Chief Minister replacing Adenan Satem was a proxy war between UMNO, Najib and PBP type. Partly because one of the potential candidates was Abang Johari himself, and he has always been widely regarded as a person which has a very close and cordial working relations with UMNO and the federal government. Whereas Tan Sri Adenan Satem was not a person like that. And in 2014, when the outgoing Chief Minister were to step down, he was given the choice to choose as the party president, as the president of PBP, to choose his replacement from 3 potential candidates: Adenan Satem, Abang Johari, and another one, Awang Tengah. Awang Tengah is pretty neutral. It isn't really pro federal government, or it doesn't really looks like a person who will fight strongly for Sarawakian rights in the face of the federal government, as hardworking, as committed as Tan Sri Adenan Satem. But nevertheless, I think the options after the Adenan Satem was very clear. It is between Awang Tengah and Abang Johari. Now, a day after the passing away of Adenan Satem, there were rumors spreading around that the first Deputy Chief Minister, Douglas Uga Embas, who is also holding the highest positions among all, could be appointed as somebody replacing Adenan Satem. I think this is quite unlikely, because Douglas Uga Embas is a Dayak. And if you look at the traditions, I don't think they will appoint somebody who is not from the Muslim, Melayu and Nala community. So when you ask me whether the appointment of Abang Johari signifies the victory of Najib and UMNO, maybe, but I think we have to see how he performs after this. In fact, Mr. Lim Kip Seng has come up with a statement not too long ago, and he has listed out 7 challenges or tasks or tall order that Abang Johari must continue, must do. Many of these tall orders are actually issues that has been raised by the previous Chief Minister, and issues that the state government of Sarawak has been facing problems and uphill battles with the federal government. One of the tall orders is about devolutions and the autonomy rights of Sarawak. Of course, this is actually a never-ending issue. Adenan Satem has done some parts of it, but many of the efforts or struggle are yet to finish, yet to be accomplished, and it is up to the new Chief Minister to make sure that the legacy of Tan Sri Adenan Satem will be continued. There are many other issues that involve the autonomous right of Sarawak, such as education right, the using of English as official language, jobs opportunity, petroleum royalty, and things like that. I believe it will be very difficult, and quite looking at the attitude and also political behavior of Abang Johari, it will be difficult for him to really fulfill all the promises, because I think Adenan Satem has set a standard too high for everybody to follow, and Adenan Satem could not fulfill and accomplish all his legacy. One of the reasons is because Adenan Satem was working from within the structure of Barisan Nasional, and it is quite difficult for him, even though he is not an UMNO leader or member. It is quite difficult for him to operate from within Barisan Nasional if he really wants to break a meaningful breakthrough for the people of Sarawak. I always believe that you want to make some breakthrough or accomplish some things, it will be achieved easier and faster if it is done from outside the structure of Barisan Nasional. What I mean is that you need to change in government so that the new government can take over and introduce new idea, new policy, which is different from the previous government, and that is how things can be done faster. So Adenan Satem did not do that. Of course, because he's operating from the old regime, and when you operate from the old regime, things only happens very fast when you have elections. But during normal time, nothing will happen. I have said it earlier how the Sarawak state government was ill-treated by the federal government after the Sarawak state election last year. So tall order for Abang Johari. Of course, he should be congratulated for his appointment, but I don't think he has a honeymoon period. In fact, the first day of him in office already struck better on the ground. It's already a better on the ground. He has to make sure that he accomplished and delivered some of the jobs, unfinished jobs, before the dissolution of the of the current parliament, which can take place any time from today until 2018. But I think most importantly, Abang Johari as the new chief minister must have the guts to stand up against UMNO, at least to speak out on some of the major issues that affects Sarawak. And I think everybody is actually affected, not only Sarawakians, but all Malaysians are affected when the government is cutting budgets for education, cutting budgets for healthcare, and they're cutting budgets for the benefit of the people. Sarawakians, just like any other Malaysians, are also affected. And I said earlier that how the Sarawak state government was shortchanged in terms of allocations for infrastructure from the federal government. The federal government allocate 1.6 billion ringgit for Pan Borneo Expressway, and that is the only allocations from the federal government for Sarawak in terms of the development of infrastructures. If you want a single cent extra money for small bridges, small infrastructures, you want to build new school, new houses, new clinics, new hospital, you wouldn't be getting any money from the federal government, because the government has already said it to you. You get 1.6 billion, that's it for your Pan Borneo Expressway, nothing more from us again. So this is actually unfair. Why are they doing that? Because they are doing that because they have limited funds. Why are they having limited funds? Because of MDB, because of all the corruptions and economic scandals that is plaguing this country. And Sarawakians should not forget one thing, that being a Malaysian, Sarawakians, Sabahans, and all the other Malaysians from Peninsular Malaysia are equally affected. Of course, for the people of Sarawak, when you need more money for your rural development, you will be hit most, because these are the money that the government wasted on 1MDB, on FELDA, and FGV, on many other issues, the leakages, and many other scandals. These are the monies that you really needed to build up the infrastructure in Sarawak. And I believe Abang Johari should have the guts to speak up on this matter and make sure that at least for Sarawak, their locations and the benefits and the welfare of the people are not shortchanged. Now, another topic, the Chinese embassy has criticized Muhyiddin a few days ago, I think last week, for his statements on Chinese investment. It is a very rare situation where embassy or diplomats from a foreign country openly criticize politicians from Malaysia. Do you think this is an intervention of foreign diplomats into the domestic affairs of a country? I believe yes. And I believe China has also maintained this stance that they are not welcoming remarks from foreign nationals, foreign countries, foreign diplomats, foreign heads of governments against their own internal affair. And of course, one of the many favorite internal affairs of China that is widely commented about by foreign diplomats, foreign heads of governments and media is their human rights records. So when you comment something about human rights in China, the Chinese officials will be jumping up and down against you. They're dead against you. So now they are commenting a statement from a local Malaysian politicians. Does that mean that they are interfering into our domestic affairs? I think to a certain extent, yes, because Muhyiddin, he is of course no longer the deputy prime minister. He is now an opposition leader. When he comment on something that involves the policy of the Malaysian government, he's actually commenting on domestic affairs. So when a Chinese foreign diplomat commented on these issues, it can be regarded as intervening into domestic affairs of a country, and this is quite surprising because when Chinese officials does not welcome foreign comments on their domestic human rights records, and yet they are commenting on internal affairs of Malaysia. How irony it is. Now, surprisingly or strangely, not only Muhyiddin has said something, Mahathir has also said something about the Chinese investment in Johor, the forest city, whereby, according to a report by Bloomberg, some 700,000 Chinese nationals will be relocated in Johor. I'm not sure how true it is, but certainly this is a comment which involves Chinese nationals, not Malaysian Chinese or Chinese Malaysians. So I'm just wondering whether the Chinese embassy will again issue another statement to comment on Mahathir's statements. I think to a certain extent Mahathir's statement has some merits, because when we talk about foreign investment, we're not only talking about foreign investment on property sectors, but we are actually more interested in getting foreign investment into Malaysia to develop our human capitals, to develop our technology, to develop our infrastructure, to develop our manufacturing, and to increase the value of our manufacturing and things like that. Will Chinese investment bring this kind of benefits to the Malaysians economy? I think to a certain extent, yes, but we should not be too much bogged down with the term Chinese, because I believe the Chinese investor, they are just like any other foreign investor. They need to go through certain regulations. They need to their investment needed to be screened by the Malaysian authority, and most importantly, the Malaysian authority must stress that this kind of investment from any countries should bring only positive effect and impact to our economies and our environment. They are, of course, industries that sometimes they had previously tried to apply for permit or license to invest in Selangor, but some of these industry or investment are not welcome and are not approved really by the Selangor state government, because there will be some negative impact to the environment. So as a country who has a strong desire for foreign investment, we should not give up or surrender all our rights. We should be choosing the right investment for our people and our country. Having said that, I think this is not of course the first time Chinese diplomats commented on some domestic affairs. Not if you read Chinese newspaper, the Chinese ambassador to Malaysia, Huang Huikang, had indeed issued some statements on Chinese in Malaysia, where I think he has said something like, if the Chinese in Malaysia are facing problem, not to worry, you still have your motherland to hang on. So he has said something to that extent or to that effect. I personally believe this is not a very good statement, because Malaysians, Chinese and Malaysians have been living here for generations, and we regard ourselves as Malaysian citizen, Malaysian first, and not Chinese first. So I believe it is not wise for him to say such a statement, and I believe his statement will have a negative impact on the Chinese in Malaysia, because if a Chinese ambassador say things like this, may I ask, how will the Malays and the Indians and the Kadazan and those who look at their fellow Chinese colleague, will they be suspicious of Chinese Malaysians? So I think, of course, this is an example that this is not the first time the Chinese diplomats or ambassadors has commented openly on a domestic affair of Malaysia. But we also have to bear in mind that some of the statements that the issues are not going to bring any positive impact on the country. So I believe it's time for Chinese Malaysians to open our own eyes and examine clearly what is good and what is bad for our society and our country. I believe, just like any other Malaysians, we must speak up for this country. We must care for this country, for the future of this country. We must not let kleptocrat to run this country. And if the Chinese government and investor are helping this kleptocrat to continue to rule Malaysia in an undemocratic manner, I think it is the responsibility of every Malaysians, including and particularly Chinese Malaysians, to stand up against it. That's all. Until then, see you and goodbye.